So today's show is about the power of influence, and I have my very own coach, Charleta, right here today in the studio. Y'all, welcome our guest, Charleta. Hi, so nice to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm so, so thrilled to be here.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it because you're my actual coach.
Yes.
And this is what I love because I just admire you and the way that you handle coaching. And so that's why I wanted you to be on this show for the power of influence, because people don't understand how much we hold a lot of different influence.
Yeah.
And it goes far beyond the followers and the likes.
Yeah. I think the most influential people don't get caught up in the hype of it. The ones that, it's like you have or think about the conversations about who is the loudest person in the room, but from the perspective of trying to bully their voice to the front of the crowd, right? Whereas often the people who are in the back, silently watching, usually have more impactful things to say. And so when you talk about influence, I think really, like I said, those who, in my opinion, are most influential are the ones who are not actively trying to wield it to control or manipulate or, go look at me, see me, I'm amazing or whatever.
That part. And what I like to think about followers and people following, when we see where we're at right now with social media is so prominent, or so it's like in everybody's lives, and they just don't understand the power, I think, the way it has when we talk about people who follow people, or the people who are actually called to follow you. Like, where are you actually leading them to?
Yeah. And what is the voice that you're using to get them to follow? I mean, I'm on social media. I'll admit I'm not very active on social media. Because for me, I found in some ways, and I'm trying to, find a happy medium, but my experience is there's been noise that is not of my taste. And so the people that I quote unquote follow or am connected to, when I really want to know what's going on with them, I check in with them directly. Now, I will go take a peek here and there on social media, comment sometimes, but really, for me, the following is the human connection. And I think as much as social media is or can be a tool for good and connection and collaboration, I think it also sometimes puts us in a place of getting lazy with sustaining real, genuine human connection.
Yes.
You have a lot of keyboard vigilantes. People will put something out there in a moment of vulnerability and transparency. And people who are not happy with themselves, envious of others, etc., they will just say all kinds of crazy, hurtful things hiding behind a keyboard. But those same people wouldn't necessarily have the same courage to say it to your face. Right. And so for me, it's a social media is a catch-22. I've had really powerful, positive experiences on there. And then I've witnessed, I'm grateful I've not had any negative myself, but I've witnessed some negative things on social media that really turned me off. I mean, I think even about, some people that I have been connected to on social media before, and you start to look at, I'm not going to take us too far down, but I do want to make the point. You start to look at the discussion of politics. You learn a lot about people through the discussion of politics. Right. And we can agree to disagree, but I think, the elections and things like that in the last 2 iterations really showed us who some are and some people who we thought they were. And then we had to make a decision about, do I respect the difference and it's okay? Or do I have to respect the difference, and then disconnect myself because your difference is division, not simply difference of opinion. And so that's why for me, social media is like, it's a mixed bag.
And you're a business owner.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate those as a business owner, as a Black woman business owner, as a female business owner?
If I'm being honest, I'm still learning that piece because I have, some people in my life who tell me it's important, and it is important to be on social media as a business owner so that people can get to know you, learn about your business, what you're doing, what you have, as we say, what you have going on. for me, I get the value of that, and I'm trying to get myself to lean more into it, but it's a challenging learned behavior because I'm also a military spouse, and for many years, given the nature of my husband's former job, I wasn't able to share on social media. And so old habits die hard. And you know, with sharing the things in my life, I've shared, but I've openly, privately shared them with the people in my life directly, face to face, versus putting it out in the atmosphere. And so when you blend those two together, you know, having that behavioral habit pattern of, I can't share really a lot of things by virtue of his job at the time, and then being the person that I am, it's more natural for me to not be on social media sharing than it is to be openly sharing. But as a business owner, I do recognize the importance. So when I'm active, I'm more so active on LinkedIn than I am on like IG or Facebook.
Okay. So we talk about being active on social media. One of the things that I tell people a lot of times when we talk about the followers and what type of people you are following, people don't understand that the people that you follow what they're following. Mm-hmm. You follow their algorithms, you start to follow what they're following.
Right.
And so when you start to connect with the different people online, that's one of the things why I necessarily don't share a lot, and I don't follow a lot of people, because then I start getting your foolishness on my timeline.
Yes, and I don't like that.
And I don't either, and it's a lot, and it's really hard to navigate the two, especially being a business owner, a Christian business owner, and trying to be relevant in the marketplace without, because it's so saturated with
nonsense,
foolishness.
And I think some of what is feeding that is our collective desire to be relevant. Like, what does that mean?
Right.
You know, there is such a thirst for relevancy and beating the algorithm that sometimes I really think people do things for attention.
Yes.
You know, other times there are people who put out some really incredible, inspiring things that will help move the needle in terms of changing their part of the world. I'm interested in that.
Right.
The foolishness, no thanks.
Right. And I think on the other end of it, when we start to scroll through social media, we have to be very mindful of what we're putting into our eye gates and our ear gates, because that is what our subconscious will replay all day long, every day.
If we are not intentional about protection of peace and space and spirit.
Yes.
For me, I can hear it all day, and it doesn't rest in my spirit like that. It doesn't. I've been very fortunate, and it's funny because prior to getting here this morning in my devotional time, the lesson of the day was speaking about putting on the whole armor of God.
Say one of my favorite scriptures.
You know, when you talk about the belt of truth, well, some of the nonsense you see on social media, I already know it's not true, so it can't. If it's not truth, it can't dwell in my spirit because I'm already saying no thank you.
Yeah, and if you have your breastplate of righteousness on, you're already guarding your heart.
Correct.
So and not getting
I see it, but it doesn't, and I'm not saying things don't get my attention and make me feel something, right? Because I'm human, I'm not a robot. But I am very, very good about not letting the negative dwell.
So my opinion, as far as followers go and likes and viewers, I feel like they are souls. Mm-hmm. I feel like anytime when you are blessed with a platform, that God gives you a platform, and you have followers and likes, I feel like those are souls that you have to steward properly. Mm-hmm. And you have to be mindful of what you're posting and what you're doing online, because they are either going to push people closer to God or pull them further away. Mm-hmm. And I honestly believe that when you go see Jesus, in the time that you go, he going to ask you about all them likes and all them followers, and how you steward them properly. Yeah. And so I honestly believe that in this day and time, there are some good things that will be on social media, but you have to kind of get through the riffraff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think you have to be emotionally mature to
absolutely
know the difference.
And sometimes, for me, I just don't have time.
Me either. Oh, Lord, I don't.
What's the song? Take me through that. I don't. Woo. Sometimes I don't want to go. Sometimes I just don't.
And sometimes I'll scroll like, nope. And I'm done.
And it's also, I think the thing that gets me as well is learning the balance of the time suck. Because being on social media really can be a time suck. You know, you can say, I'm going to just look for 5 minutes, and 2 hours later, Because you can scroll, and some of the video, like, okay, now I will say, the videos of the AI generated videos of the babies, that like some of them are like, you know, a replication of the Real Housewives, or, you know, or the one of the funniest ones I've ever seen were the children that were talking about their parents.
Mm-hmm.
And like how, like they were saying how the parents didn't, you would have sex in the room and think they weren't listening, or, you know, my mommy picked me up this morning, she didn't brush her teeth, like, and they
yeah, and
they
the baby
are
is talking.
hilarious
Yeah.
to me. But you know, some of the other stuff, okay, but you know, there's a, you know, sometimes you need to also have that place where you can check out, because life gets heavy.
Yeah, it does.
You know, I mean, and in my line of work, sometimes some days are heavier than others.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a coach, and you see, I guess, coaching as an assignment. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that I love about you so much, and being one of your clients. Mm-hmm. I love how you take it to heart so much. Can we talk about that, and how you feel like coaching is an assignment? And I love that as a business owner, people don't understand, and this is what I say. Sometimes people don't understand the weight of a business owner and an entrepreneur, that people are assignments. Like, you're responsible for God's kids, again, steward something that's absolutely beautiful. So when you talk about coaching, you talk about as an assignment.
I see it as an assignment because while coaching and counseling or therapy, for example, are fundamentally different, mm-hmm. what they share in common is that the words that come out of my mouth in response to whatever intimate challenges you might be sharing have the ability to influence your decision making. And if you are in a vulnerable place, your decision making could be hanging in the balance, colliding with something that I said that was out of pocket, mm-hmm. or not, right? And so being obedient to recognizing you cannot play with God's people, it's an assignment. Mm-hmm. I don't see how it can be anything else, right? I don't see how one can show up, whether as a coach, a therapist, a doctor, a teacher even, and say, I don't understand the assignment. I don't understand that there is a human being on the other side of this transactional engagement, right? And for me, seeing every single person as they are, where they are, is a part of the experience of what amplifies the impact of my coaching. And I don't say that in arrogance. I say that because my life's mantra is that it takes us all to lift us all. Mm. And so wherever you were before you walked in my door, I hope that when you go out the door, you feel a little lighter, a little higher in spirit, naturally.
Absolutely.
You know, that whatever might be happening in your life, you have the belief and the hope and the faith, even if you don't express it and articulate it as such, that you can keep putting one foot in front of the other for another day. And maybe that journey is one day at a time, right?
Yes.
So that's why I see it as an assignment.
Do you believe that, let me say this, mm-hmm. did you choose coaching for yourself, or that's
no?
Okay.
I didn't. And as a matter of fact, it's so funny. Last year, Coastal Virginia Business Magazine did a full-page editorial on me and my company. It was a beautiful surprise, right? And when they reached out to me, and I did the interview earlier, because, you know, with magazine publications, you do the interviews and all the things months ahead of when the issue comes out. So initially, when the issue came out, I actually forgot about it. And, you know, somebody saw it online, and then they got their hard copy in the mail, and they sent me a text, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Charleta, look at you. Look. Because when I did the interview, you know, being a small business owner, I figured, I mean, I've never been in a magazine before. So I figured it was going to be a few lines, you know, a picture, and that was the end of it. So when the person sent me, and it was like a full page, I was blown away, like, oh, right? And so, but I was also so proud, and I had to chuckle, because I was like, you know, you tell God your plans. and he said, he laughs.
He
right?
does.
He laughs. And so after all of that came out, I actually did a post on Facebook, and I talked about how being in the magazine, I realized, was actually a full circle moment more than 20 years in the making. Because years and years and years ago, when my kids were young, I had a friend that we were living in, my husband and I and my children were living in England at the time. That's where we were stationed. And I kept back, this was back when Skype was still a thing.
Oh, wow.
Skype is not like, y'all know Skype is a dinosaur at this point. But I had a Skype number. I was so proud. So I could, I'm from DC, like DC proper. And it's not the suburbs. Because people are like, I'm from DC, but they're from Maryland. That's not DC, that's Maryland. Anyway, I digress. And so, I had the ability to stay connected to my family and friends, even though I was living in a different country. I talked to them every day. And she was like, Charleta, you should be a coach. And I was like, what? And she was like, you should be a coach. For as long as I've known you, you've been coaching informally and all the things. And I'm like, okay, girl, you okay. Mm-hmm. She's like, no, really. She said, people feel a different kind of kinship with you. People feel like they can share and all the things. And I was just like, okay. Yeah, for my friends, for my family, all right, fine, whatever. And she was like, I want you to really give it some thought. And so that conversation and some of the other things that she shared with me that were more intimate, I kept. And I ended up over time kind of looking into it. It was also back when Dr. Phil was made famous by Oprah. And so, but there were some things about the nuance of coaching that people thought it was kind of quirky and it was a California thing. And so even when I told my husband initially that I was going to pursue it, he was like, what you want to do that for? And he has come to since apologize for that statement, but I always give him a hard time about it. And it was one of those things, as I looked into it more and more, I was like, wow, this is really powerful. But the thing that made it, or made me understand that it was an assignment, is that the more I started to pay attention to how I could be in a random place like an amusement park, seated on a bench, and I literally, hand to God, on the lives of my children, this has happened. I have been in an amusement park and a stranger will come and sit and just start sharing and then ask me, so what do you think I should do? I've been in a grocery store. I've been in the middle of a square in Prague, Czechoslovakia, waiting in line like a tourist, and people will just, and I'm not saying they're like, yeah, should I go on a date? I mean, they're like pouring out. It is the most beautifully odd thing that, and my husband and children are like, oh, mommy's at it again. It used to be like really weird. They've gotten used to it. And again, I don't say this in arrogance. It's just one of those things, I have a person that works for me part-time, and she's always like, you give off a different kind of vibration. And when she used to say it, I'm like, what are you talking about? That just sounded like, I don't know about that, right? And she's like, no, your energy. People just pick up on your energy. You don't see you, but they see you, and they're drawn to that thing. And I believe it's that thing that helps people feel comfortable. And they share. I've had perfect strangers share some of the most intimate, personal things with me, and wait for me to ask, or rather speak to what they asked in terms of what I believe the way forward is. That's part of why I say it's an assignment.
So let me ask you, do you think, I'm not going to say the average person or normal person, but do you think people should invest in a coach?
Absolutely. But I think people need to understand what the investment is.
Okay.
There are some who don't agree with or care for or are interested in coaching because they mistakenly believe that or think that coaching is you paying someone and you're telling them all your business, and it's just that. Mm-hmm. Coaching is intended to be a personal and or professional development tool. It is intended to meet you where you are, amplify the things that are serving your greatness, and help you elevate the things that are an opportunity to expand your greatness. Whereas, if you're just telling a friend whatever your life situation is and you want their opinion, that's it and that's all. But coaches, just like counselors in their area of specialty, they are trained professionals who have the ability to help you see and shift your mindset, see circumstances differently than how you considered it, in the way in which you are able to consume the information to make not the right decision, but the best decision for yourself, right? To cause you to be introspective in how you view the way you show up in the world versus how you think you show up in the world versus how you want to show up in the world. And where there's conflict, or alignment. You know, that's what a coach, in essence, that's what they do, right? We help you say, all right, this is where I am and this is where I want to be. What's the plan to get there? You know, the plans, the ideas are your own. We just serve as a supportive partner in the journey that helps keep you accountable for staying on track while you run your race.
I love that. In a world that is so DIY and they get online and they do all the things.
Left to our own devices, we become the single point of failure.
Ooh.
So just as I am a coach, I have a coach.
Awesome.
Just like therapists have therapists.
That's what I say. That's why hairstylists have hairstylists, man.
Yes. It's you know, again, it takes us all to lift us all. God did not create us to walk the earth alone.
Yeah.
And we have a responsibility to leave our corner of the earth a little better than we found it.
Absolutely.
The only way you can truly do that is to recognize it cannot begin and end with you. If you're the one doing, you have to recognize that in the doing, it's bigger than self. It's supposed to be, at least, right? And if you're the one receiving, you then have a responsibility to pay it forward. So that's how even indirect or informal coaching can come full circle in terms of, you know, engagement upon, you know, between humanity. That's what I believe anyway.
So for the person watching who feels unseen or overlooked in their gift, what would you tell them about trusting God's timing and trying to find their purpose?
Though it may be difficult, don't get caught up in man or woman knowing your name. As long as God knows your name, your gift will be made manifest at the time in which it was appointed.
I love that. Because the Bible does say that your gift will make room for you.
Yes, it will. And here's the thing about the gift making room. It is the manifestation of God's promise. That is the room, right?
Right.
His promise.
Okay.
Because what do we talk about? We walk into the promises of God, right? So when your gift is making room for you, that is literally, as the word says, God will go before you and prepare a place, even amongst your enemies.
Okay.
And make them watch you.
Yes.
And if they act real spicy, he'll make them your footstool.
Okay.
Right?
You said if you act real spicy. Okay.
And so, you know, it's your gifts by the grace of God and the fullness of his promise will indeed make room for you. And I think that's sometimes where social media, you know, bringing that back for a moment, I think sometimes that's where social media helps or hurts our ability to get it right.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we run ahead of God.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll, you know, say, I've been praying and God hasn't heard me. He hasn't answered. You know, God 5 blocks down the road. The one thing he did answer, but the thing he told us to do, we didn't do. Mm-hmm. And so he's waiting for that moment of obedience so that he can unfurl the rest.
Ooh.
But we over here telling everybody that'll listen, he didn't hear me, he didn't answer. Stop putting that on God. That ain't on God, that's on you. Yeah. You know, and so we got to be careful about that.
Yeah.
You know?
And you know what? Going back on that, when people be talking the power of agreement, when people out here and they say, oh, God did this and God did, and God ain't a bit in that, and you didn't agree to touch agree that, people don't understand the power of agreement.
Around in some flesh,
Lord,
and made your own blessing.
Even on social media, when we liking stuff and we loving stuff, that is the power of agreement. And we don't understand. We have agreed to something that might not even be what God has for you.
Yeah. And even if what God has for you didn't show up the way you thought it was going to be, doesn't mean in the end it's not going to be made for your good. He didn't lie in Jeremiah 29:11. He said he knows the plans he has for us. And so we have to learn to be in a posture of patient obedience.
Okay.
And trust God, WHEN, while we wait on the WIN.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
We gotta wait.
Yeah.
And so many of us are impatient and we're not willing to wait. And I know for me, I drive people in the store crazy because when they're trying to, especially holiday season, they're trying to say something. I'm not one of those people that suffers from FOMO. My husband finds it hilarious because people will, but you don't want to miss this Saturday. I'm good. No, thank you. Yeah. If I didn't budget that for today, I'm not gonna buy it. Yeah. You know, it's not that I haven't made, purchases that I didn't plan on, but I'm just saying in a general sense, and the greater conversation that is patient obedience in this thing called life. I'm very clear. I being a military spouse, I walked away from a career for over a decade to be at home with my children because my husband had to be away for so long. I grew up in a single parent home where my mother worked multiple jobs to take care of my brother and sister and I. So I know what sacrifice and therefore patient obedience looks like. Is it easy? Absolutely not. But is it worth it? Oh, you better believe it. And everything in my life that I have patiently waited for God to make instead of me trying to make it, it has always been so much better than I could have ever imagined or asked for. Truly.
And see, that's where one of the seasons where I struggle patiently waiting. Oh my God, I just feel like, Lord, let me just do it, please, so I can get it out of the way.
And now here's the thing. He'll let you do it, but then you got to be the one to handle what comes as a consequence of doing it yourself.
And then we ask God to bless the thing, and He'd be like, I didn't even tell you to do that, so why are you over there doing
or
that?
we say, I'm so tired, I'm so worn out, because you're trying to do it in your strength, not His.
And you're trying to do everything that He never called you to do.
Never called you to. And that, that's that thing of FOMO. And I get that too, because I definitely remember being in an extended season when I was at home. And, society has some real messed up thoughts about stay-at-home parents.
Okay.
And they think that, it's shifted some in modern day, but it's still not great necessarily. The society as a whole believes foolishly that stay-at-home parents are just kind of hanging out.
Honestly,
they got nothing to do.
I don't have any kids, but I think that's what they do. They kick it.
And
y'all get up when y'all want to. You feed the kids. Y'all watch some TV.
That is a lie.
Lay the kids down, and then your day done.
Let me tell you something. I was more busy as a stay-at-home mom than any job I've ever had.
Doing what? Like, what do y'all?
First of all,
mom do all that?
Let me tell you.
I'm just kidding.
Listen.
I'm just kidding.
These kids and their schedules. My kids were scholar athletes, so they were very academically inclined in school, but they played multiple sports. We required them to do volunteer service in the community. They were both very active in the church, because service is a big part of who we have been and who we continue to be. And so, yeah, we were always. And my husband always, he had these ideas that he wanted the boy to do this and the girl to do this. And I would tell him, only if it works for me, because you're not going to be here. And I can't be in two places at one time.
Right.
So if I can't be in two places at one time, what you're not going to do is sign them up for stuff I can't get them to. But then that's also where your village comes into play. And carpools and sleepovers and, the logistics. And so, stay-at-home parents, they develop a lot of skills that the modern day workplace finds of value. Logistics, negotiation, budgeting, administrative operations, all those things are a critical part of the work that a stay-at-home parent does.
I love how you just said that, because I don't have any kids, so of course I looked at it the opposite, outside in.
No, ma'am. And that I was one, and also a military spouse. That's a whole other situation, because you have military events where you're voluntold. We call it mandatory fun. And I, as an African American woman, my husband was an aviator while he was active duty, and which means he was a unicorn. We were always the only Black folks in the squadron, and so I would show up to events that I really didn't want to go to. The only Black girl in the room. Oh, what does your husband do? Okay, Chuckleberry. If we are at the same event,
doing the same thing,
but you tried it. I had one ask me, she said, oh, what is your husband? And what it was. So in the F-18 community, people will try to figure out your spouse's rank.
Okay.
And so being the only woman of color in the room, I would get asked, so what is your husband? A Black man working? I used to get, and I had to pray, like when my husband and I got married, because like I said, I'm from D.C. and I've matured. Let's just say I've matured.
There you go.
And I had to pray and ask God to help me not ever do anything that embarrassed him and got him in trouble.
Amen.
Because people will try you. People will try you, and and it's tough. I can't imagine what it's like, I'm gonna just leave it there.
Oh, did you ask me what time it was? I was looking at my tally and twine. Because if you're not wearing tally and twine, then is your time really worth it? So we are going to play a game called Pick It Up and Preach. So that means there's a random object you pick off the table and you preach about it. So we're talking about the power of influence. So you pick up an object and you preach on how it's influential or how it could be used as influence.
Okay.
Here are all your options to choose from. All these wonderful things.
Okay, it's the holiday season, so I see the Christmas lights. Ooh, bit of lip gloss. A candle. Okay, you can be the light of the world.
Right.
The remote control. Okay, you can control something. I think I'm gonna go for the brush. Though.
Okay. So pick it up and then you gotta preach it.
Random.
Look at the studio audience and preach it like.
Okay.
Good Sunday morning.
I ain't gonna hoop though. I ain't done that.
You gonna do it? You gonna pull Bishop out?
No, that's not my. Okay. What I will not do is be a meme on social media and look because I'm not active, not even know until somebody texts me.
I'm gonna say, girl, they got you right here.
What you doing right now?
Preaching about a brush.
So I'm gonna do what Pastor LJ does though.
Okay.
The Bishop would give you 4 points.
Yes.
Pastor LJ would give you 3.
Okay.
So I chose the brush because I think a brush in many ways is like the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
When we get tangled up in things, through faith, we pray and ask God for his intercession. When our hair is tangled up, the brush comes through and straightens it out.
Okay.
Right? When we think about how we want to grow, prayer, fasting, worship, praise is a material part of that. When I think about years ago when my hair was really, really long before, I became a woman of a certain age and hot flashes became a thing, and I cut it all off, I used to have really long hair and my mother, 500 strokes.
I want to say, yeah.
Every day. And you know what the strokes would do? We women of color believe that the strokes and the bristles, that friction will cause growth.
Mm-hmm. Stimulation on the scalp.
Right. Mm-hmm. Stimulation. Faith, prayer, thanksgiving, worship do the same thing. Yeah, like a brush.
Come on, stimulation.
And then I think lastly, a brush is a tool that we feel as people, not just women, but men as well, because I see men brushing the beard, brushing the hair, all the things. It's a tool that helps us feel better about how we present to the world. For me, my faith and my relationship with God helps me feel better about how I present to the world. And so I think about my, understanding that in Isaiah 41:10 is my favorite scripture, by the way, in the Bible. And in that scripture, he talks about the fact that we don't have to be worried. We don't have to be afraid, that we are able to look to him because his victorious right hand is always the thing that's going to hold us up. And I believe that in that way that he protects and provides, his relationship, or rather relationship with him, is our tool, is our resource. Much like this brush is on that Sunday morning when we're trying to get ready for church.
There you go. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. The power of influence. Right here on the Nicki Peacock Show, we have Charleta. Last closing remarks. You have anything to say to the people? If you could give a word of encouragement about the brush, about today, about influence, what would you give a last word of encouragement?
I don't know that I would go to influence. I would just say right now we're living in a world where there's so much chaos and confusion and division and sadness, right? I would ask everybody to remember something that's really been resting in my spirit as life has been lifing for me personally. Peace, right? The idea of peace. Remember that real peace is not the absence of crisis or chaos or confusion. It is the presence of God in the midst of it.
My favorite part about that is the Bible says that God is close to the brokenhearted, and people think that when we go through these things in life, that it's God punishing us or anything like that. And it might be just because God's saying, hey, I need you to come closer to me. And if I just break your heart just a little bit, you're going to come running it.
And not only that, I think I'm not one to quote scripture verbatim, but I think it is Ephesians 6:9. Double check that reference. But the scripture itself says, from now on, do not bother me with these things because I display the scars that prove I belong to God.
Ooh, I got to
And
read
so,
that.
so
I like
when
that.
we talk about being brokenhearted, some of us that are brokenhearted have scars, right? But if you leave room for him to be in it, whatever mark emerges will be proof that you belong to him because he kept you through it.
Ooh, and next show we're going to talk about what? Tattoo. Next week.
The Nicki Peacock Show.